All right, we are live, and we are here with Anthony Garnica, who headline a card for Showtime Boxing Promotions April 19th. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on today, bro. We appreciate your time.
No, thank you
Thanks
guys,
for coming
man.
on.
Just real quick, do me a favor, introduce yourself, let the people know a little bit about yourself, who you are, accolades, accomplishments, all the things.
Yeah. So I'm Anthony Garnica. I'm from Oakland, California. Um, I had a long amateur career. Started fighting when I was 7. I'm 24 now. I'm thir- 13, 12. My bad. 12 and 0 as a professional. Just trying to make a name for myself and put my city on the map.
Mentally, you've already gotten that 13th win, right?
Yeah, exactly. We just been training
Yeah.
hard, bro. Just been in the gym and doing everything right to get this dub.
Hey, Anthony, thank you so much for coming on, man. We appreciate your time. Definitely a fan of yours after watching you and the Ira Terra fight, Ira Terry fight, with that fourth round knockout. I was very impressed with you since then. And, I have a question for you, man. We live in this social media world now where you got a lot of these social media fighters and all that, and everybody trying to get, just get a name, not necessarily in boxing, but just get fame. What is
Yep.
it for you that got you into boxing? What was the reason that got you into this sport?
The reason my father loved the sport of boxing, and I feel like he never got an opportunity to do it, so he put me into the sport, and I just been trying to do it the best I can, and I'm doing this for my family. I'm trying to make a name for myself and give my family a better life.
Anthony, we know this fight is a home game for you, and you're main eventing relatively close to where you grew up. But we've also seen you on bigger undercards, right? You fought on an Andy Ruiz undercard. That's a big pay per view event. What's more pressure for you? A bigger event like the Andy Ruiz fight, or something where it's like a card in your hometown where you're the guy that everyone's there to see? What's more pressure for you?
I feel like it's pressure both, because we still gotta get in there and fight, but I feel like me headlining and having my own fight is pretty big, so I have a lot on my plate, but we got to take it day by day and just take it, be smart about it.
And I guess just to follow that up, Aston Palicte, he's a veteran, man. He's been with a lot of different guys, at mostly at lower weights, right? But he's got kind of a bigger frame, and he's really been in with a who's who. Do you view him for yourself as a step up fight?
Of course, because he has that experience, like you said, he's been in there with those guys, and I feel like this is the biggest fight of my career.
And Anthony, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. Obviously, we believe
Yep.
in you, so we think you're getting that 13th dub.
Appreciate
Probably
that.
your eighth knockout by the along with it. But let's say you get this dub. What do you hope is next after this fight?
You know, um, Honestly, all I'm thinking about this fight, I want to get past this fight. God willing, everything goes in my favor. I've been training hard, and uh, we'll we'll just wait to see what's next. Take it fight by fight.
When I've seen you fight before, I really like what a patient approach you take to your fights. I like your jab. I like how you fight a little bit more thoughtfully. But what do you think is kind of your best trait or your best characteristic as a fighter and as a prospect in this moment?
I just feel like I'm a well-rounded fighter. My jab is my go-to. I love my jab. It's fast. It gets me out of trouble. My footwork, my movement. Yeah, a little bit of everything.
That was the thing. The big thing I noticed in the Terry fight was the jab, because you got that. It's like a power jab. So
Yeah,
once you land that a couple of times, it's like you really get the guy's attention and kind of tame how aggressive they're going to be.
yeah. That's like I said, that's my go-to, my jab. So I just got to stay sharp that night and just pop it.
And what I like about you as well too is for guys who typically have power or get have a high rate of knockouts, especially early on in their careers, they're not very defensively sound. But you are. Is that something that you pride yourself in, or that you guys are actively working on, or is that just part of who you are naturally as a boxer?
That's always been my style. You know, my coach implemented that defensive style on me, and I just took it and just try to sharpen it up as best as I could, you know, as best as I can, and we're still working on it to this day.
And I see we got a couple of people hopping on the live here. We appreciate you guys coming on. If you got questions for Anthony Garnica, please leave them, and we'll try to get to them before we wrap up the show. I was looking over your box rec a little bit just to try to get a little background. You know, I seen you fight a couple of times, but you try to do your homework, right? And I
Yeah.
saw that at one point you moved up to lightweight. What was it like for you moving up 2 weight classes and then having to come back down? And what was kind of like the reasoning for the changes in weight? Do you feel like one favors you more than the other?
Nah, I mean, I feel like the main reason for that move is because I wasn't active for so long, and we already had a fight scheduled, but it was looking like that fight was gonna fall off. So they offered us another fight, and I was in process to cutting down weight, and I was already at that weight. So I was like, "Fuck it, let's fight." I haven't fought, and yeah, that was a reason. One of the reasons that I went up in weight, but that's not my weight though. 118 is my weight, and I feel like 118 is gonna be a weight I'm gonna make my name at.
118 is your best weight.
Yep, and this is my first fight at 118.
Interesting. See, I was looking at it thinking, okay, on BoxRec it says you're featherweight. It looked
Yeah.
like this fight was gonna be at featherweight just based on what I was looking at.
Yep.
So you are fighting him at his natural
Yep,
weight.
at 118. Yep.
Well, to be honest, that makes it an even more interesting fight.
Yeah.
Do you find that, you know, because I've always been a big proponent of guys fighting, you know, at weight classes that are comfortable for them on a regular basis, right? For guys that may have to cut more weight because, you know, as you grow, you get bigger, you know,
Yep.
you start to fill out a little bit more. Do you feel that, you know, it is a detriment to some of these guys who are trying to cut down to get to a weight class where you might feel more comfortable, obviously, right? Where you're
Yep.
making the weight comfortably. Do you see that in the sport a little bit? You know, where you got guys kind of struggling or doing things they shouldn't be doing to
I mean,
get into
yeah,
certain weight classes?
yeah. I feel like they do struggle because they might blow up and then try to come back down to a weight, you know, just to make that weight. But like for me, for example, I'm not really big. I'm not like your big
Right.
122, 126. I've always had like a smaller body style, you know. So I feel like 118 is gonna be perfect for me.
Well, I mean, and 118 at the moment has a very big champion, a very dynamic champion in Junto Nakatani, who's becoming, I would say, one of the 10 best pound for pound fighters in the world
Yep.
right now. I don't know how much you've gotten to see of him, but are those the kind of fights that get you excited? And what do you think of him as a champion?
Man, he's a great champion, you know, all around, inside the ring and outside, you know. But yeah, he's a good fighter, and those are the fights that I would love to be in. You know I will get my shot one day, and that's what we're working towards.
Well, I guess
Well,
another good follow-up to that would be considering who all the champions in your weight are. Do you anticipate someday having to go to Tokyo or somewhere in Japan
Man, I
to
love that.
get a world title?
I love to go to Japan. I love to step on enemy territory, you know, to go make a name, you know. That'd be cool. That'd be dope.
it's cool to see a kid from Oakland. I mean the last big champion you guys had was Andre Ward, you know, who's a Hall of Famer. You know, how important is it for you to not just make a name for your family and for yourself? Obviously, you know, this is your first real big event, which is going to lead to bigger and better things for you. How important is it, you know, to put Oakland on your back and put on for your city?
You know, it's important because you know Andre Ward did it, you know, and I'm trying to do what he did, you know, just do it right and become a world champion.
Well, April 19th, Anthony Garnica versus Aston Palicte. Anthony, where can people watch this fight and how can they support you?
This fight will be streamed on WBC.com, and you guys could support me. Follow me on Instagram, Anthony_Garnica, my socials.
Well, as you guys know, anybody that watches our channel, one of our mantras is support local boxing. This is one way that we hope to support local boxing is when young fighters like this are main eventing a card. It's worth highlighting. So, Anthony, we appreciate your time, champ.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks for coming on.
Yep.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you.